And we are live. We are live. How's it going, everybody? So, welcome to the first Wings of Fire podcast, hosted by yours truly. So, this is the first one, the very first one. I want to say hi to all you people there. It's nice seeing you all here tonight. We got Cold Front, Drop the Bass, Animus Maximus, Shallow Pond. Haven't seen her in a while, and a lot of other amazing, incredible people. So I am really excited. I really wanted to make this because I felt like, hey, podcasts are pretty cool. They're a pretty cool idea. You just sit down, you watch them, or you listen to them rather, and you just have a good time. Hey, how's it going, Based? How's it going, Shallow Pond? How's it going, Cold Front? And I thought it would be pretty neat to just do this, and nobody's done it before, and I like doing ambitious things like the awards I do every year in January. So I felt like I might as well do this too. So, if you couldn't tell by the title already, I have a great person here, TsunamiHolmes. She's been around for a little while, and she's recently gone on a small hiatus, but she's back now. I took about a week ago or so. I posted a status thing, and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking of a podcast. If any of you want to do it with me, then you guys can just just DM me and send me this information. We'll talk and we'll figure it out, and I'll figure out who want to do it." She was actually the last person to. She was actually the very last person to send me one of these requests, but she was so enthusiastic about it that I picked her. I have probably like 7 or 8 other people, and I will get to them all in time. But I really wanted to start with her. So I would like to introduce. Hey, Glory, how's it going? I'd like to introduce TsunamiHolmes.
Hey everybody, I'm TsunamiHolmes. You may know me as Sunbeam, and I do art, and I love Wings of Fire.
That's what we're all about here. So, is there a nickname that you like to go by? Is there anything that you want the chat to refer to you as, or anything in particular?
Yeah, I generally I sign all my like journals and stuff by Sunbeam, so that's generally an easy way. It's just my main OC, and the first Wings of Fire OC I made, she actually originated as a fanfiction book character. More on that later.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Cold Front, Neve Johnson. I might have butchered that. Thank you guys for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Uh, so let's. I want to go over like a really brief thing. Really brief. So I have a very loose schedule here. Very loose. We start off. We're just going to talk about. Well, we already introduced her, so that's out of the way. We're just going to spend most of this hour or so just talking, having a good time, and then towards the end, we'll have a Q&A session with the chat. Ask questions if you want. We'll take questions. We'll just do that for probably about 15 minutes or so. But very loose schedule, nothing crazy. And with that, let's just get this started. So, Sunbeam, what? Tell us about what you were thinking of when this whole idea of a podcast came up to you.
Oh boy. Well, I guess to start with like podcasts in general, because I I wasn't really aware of podcasts. I didn't really listen to them until about probably like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more by now. And my whenever we'd go on road trips, my dad would download a bunch of podcasts for like our family road trips, and we'd listen to them on the road. And we like listen to a couple episodes, we'd try new things out, but there's just occasionally some that I was like, these are really cool. And even though we might not listen to them as a family, I want to listen to them by myself. So I basically became a podcast geek like a year ago and started binging podcasts like crazy. So much so that I actually attended the first PodCon up in Seattle last
PodCon.
December.
Is that just like where a ton of people that do podcasts they just come together and they just talk about it and just all that?
Yeah, PodCon is like there are podcast conventions,
Mm-hmm.
but they're generally for creators from creators who know what to do in the industry. And there wasn't really a convention that was geared towards podcasts for creators and fans of podcasts alike.
Okay.
And so a couple people you might know, like Hank Green or the McElroy brothers, they actually pitched in, and there was this group of people who decided, let's make a convention just for podcasts people, people who love podcasts, people who love making podcasts, listening to them, whatever you like. If you like podcasts, come, hang out with other people who enjoy the same thing. And it was really, really cool because there wasn't a lot of stuff on like the expo floor,
Uh-huh.
which if you go to any other convention like Comic-Con or something, half of it is like guests and meeting cool people, half of it is buy cool stuff. But there wasn't
Right.
really any of that. It was just we all enjoy doing the same thing, and we're going to talk about it and enjoy that we like doing this together. And it was just it was really cool, really unique. I highly suggest it if you like podcasts. But essentially the point that I'm trying to make is I love podcasts like a lot. They're like audiobooks, but better because there are so many things and you can make them just about anything. For example, Wings of Fire.
Right.
And so when I saw that you wanted to make one on Wings of Fire, I was like, just sign me up right now. I've always wanted to be on a podcast.
Yeah. Let's see. So, love the McElroys. I don't know too many different types of podcasts. Like, I'm not a fanatic like you are, Sunbeam. Let's see. We got Shadowfang. How's it going? Shadowfang agrees with you. Shadowpon agrees with you. Animus Maximus. H3 is the best. I like the H3 podcast. I a while ago I watch quite a few Twitch streamers. My personal favorite is a guy named Dr. Disrespect. He's crazy. Okay. Oh, hello. How's it going, Shadowfang? There's a guy on Twitch. His name's Dr. Disrespect. He has been doing it for a while. The back-to-back 1993-1994 blockbuster video gaming champion. Yes, he's great, and he did a podcast with H3, and I watched it. It was actually really cool. One of the people I really like, one of the broadcasters I really like, or the podcasters, whatever you want to call them, Bill Burr. I like Bill Burr. One of my friends, he's a comedian and he does podcasts, but he also does like stand up comedy. I'm in love with Shane's podcast as Cold Front. Anyone listen to the Super Mega Cast? I'm gonna let you guys talk about that because I don't know as much as you guys do. I usually like to stick to one thing, but Bill Burr.
Go ahead.
Okay. Bill Burr, he does a lot of stand up, and like every now and again he'll do like this podcast where he just sits down and he just talks about whatever, but it's funny as all hell. It's great. Love it. But yeah, those are really the guys I'm interested in. Those are the guys I'm big on. But I know that there are so many, and there's so many of different types and all shapes and sizes and all that. Yeah. All right, so what's up, Sunbeam? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying, like, I love podcasts, and I love that the fact that you can have a podcast that's you and a couple people talking about something as obscure as a specific book series, or you can have a podcast that is completely fictional, acted out, drama, mystery, written storyline, and takes you away. And the fact that they're both done the same way, but they're both completely different. Like, it's such a cool medium.
It's like a similar but different kind of deal.
It's so cool. It's something that has been taking off a lot, and I just enjoy. Like, for example, I've listened to the entirety of The Adventure Zone, which is a podcast where a couple guys and their dad, their brothers, the McElroy brothers, where them and their dad like sit down and play D&D, and they record it and then post it online, and it's amazing. And just like, you can make it about anything, and it's just such a cool, unique, and like easy medium that now in this day and age anyone can do it. And the fact that we have that option as teenagers, specifically for me, is like really, really cool. And I just think like more people need to listen to podcasts and like take them seriously, because they are really cool and they're growing and they deserve to be loved.
Yeah. I think that yeah, people should just support them growing and all that. I think that's great. Uh, let's see, we got some more. We got some more people subscribing. Shallow Pond the Ringwing Hybrid, thank you very much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Uh, so,
We
Nightshade, how's it going?
we
Hmm?
should talk about Wings of Fire.
Yes, good idea. Good idea. So, uh, about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, Book 11 came out, The Lost Continent, and that starts a whole new arc, and it has a whole new continent, which is called Pantala. And we're not going to talk about spoilers. We're not going to go crazy about it in case any of you haven't read it. It's a good book. Go pick it up if you haven't. But I just want to kind of talk about it and talk about the series as a whole and everything that led up to it. So it's kind of interesting since it takes place in an entirely different location. Through books 1 through 10, we had Pyrea. We had the same 7 tribes through the past 5 years, 5.5 years of just the same thing. Okay, 5 years.
Yeah.
We've also had Darkstalker, which takes 2,000 years before the events of the book, and we have like graphic novel adaptations and stuff like that, which are really well made. But point is that we've had the same continent for all of the books, and it's just Nightshade. Thank you for subscribing. And it's great, but now we're shifting over to something else, and it's a big risk that Tui is taking in my eyes. I think it's a really big risk because she's taking everything that we know and throwing it out the window and getting something new. While
Yeah.
and while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just a really risky thing, and it's a thing that could go down south very, very quickly. Now, I have not finished the book yet. I'm going kind of slowly with it. I want to drag it out a little bit, but
I kind of did the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, I've only read the first 2 parts. I haven't read the last part of the epilogue, but I am taking my time with it, and I'm just really trying to, take it all in. But
Yeah.
I think it's made well so far. What do you think?
I think well, first of all, when I got the Lost Continent, I pretty much had a freak out session. But then, I all the Wings of Fire books that have come out since I've read them, which has been like The Dark Secret on, I've gotten them the first day they've come out and pretty much read them within the first day of them coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But for this one, I mean, like that even includes Darkstalker, which was crazy. I think I was up till like 1 in the morning. But with this one, I took like a week and a half to read it because it's like a completely new series. I mean, there's still dragons, but like it's such a big change that
You
it
gotta
just
really,
took me a lot longer.
you gotta take it all in.
Yeah, to take it all in, to figure out what was going on. But my mom like asked me, she was like, "Are you okay? Is this book okay? Like, are you disappointed with it? Why haven't you finished reading it yet?"
She took an extra year to write this book. In case you guys didn't know, the last book came out, the 10th book came out a year and a day previous to book 11. And
Yeah.
normally it's every 6 months, but she took an extra 6 months for that just to world build. And that really goes to show how much that she's done with it. And there's still more that we haven't found. For example, there's like this whole prophecy thing, and that hasn't even been in the book now, maybe. Like, I don't know. I haven't finished the book. But there is a whole new prophecy. It's at the very beginning of the book, and it says stuff about secrets buried like below things. And it says stuff about like various hives. We've only explored 2 or 3 hives so far, I believe. But so that means that there's more, and there's more stuff hidden in each of those.
Yeah.
Let's see. Man, I don't know which books I haven't read. I've read every single book. But I haven't read some of the earlier books in a long time. Like they're just sitting on my shelf collecting dust.
I literally have all my books like in a closed shelf in my closet in a drawer. On my desk, the only books that sit out are all of my Wings of Fire books. There's like a shrine on my desk just of Wings of Fire books.
I read the whole book in one night, Rip. How it usually takes me about 3 days. I usually just kind of binge it for the first part and a half, and then I'll just kind of stop. I'll just stop dead, and then I'll go back and I'll try and read it, and I just won't be able to get past that one page I've been stuck at, and I'll read it like 5 times over, and then I'll go back and I'll finally finish the book. I don't know why. It's just always how it's been for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Interesting.
Read all the books except 11. I'm halfway through it. I'm about halfway through it also. I'm at the end of part 2, and for those of you who got to the end of part 2, you know how much of a cliffhanger that is. So, I'm glad I'm not the only one who read it that fast. Oh yeah, I don't. A lot of people read these books really quickly. A lot of people. Gotta head out. Nice seeing you guys. By the way, hurry to a face reveal. Nice seeing you. Nice seeing you come in, Max. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you come to the next one. And no, I'm not doing a face reveal. Shadowfang. I guess I'm the only one who read it fast. No, no. Sunbeam read it fast, and Shalopon read it fast. Glory, I might
Anyway,
need.
if you count a week fast.
Glory says, I might need to go soon, but I don't know yet. Well, I hope you stay around for as long as you can, and if you miss most of this, it's going to be here archived publicly if you want to see it. And also,
Yep.
I'm doing one every week until I physically can't anymore, or it just doesn't gain enough popularity anymore. And then Cold Front says, I have most of them besides the Dark Secret and the Lost Continent. The Dark Secret, the 4th book, that was probably the worst book in my opinion. But
it took me a while to get through that one.
It's an interesting one because there's so many interesting things about it because the Nightwings are so.
And it was a big change of pace too from the previous books that had them all exploring what was going on. A lot of it's just.
It was a lot slower.
Yeah, a lot of it's just Starflight.
It's just Starflight, yeah, for the entire thing because he's stuck on that Nightwing island. And you get like the false ones, you get the false dragonets like Viper and Flame and all them, but they are kind of minor. They're more of supporting characters, even more minor characters rather than, the original Dragonets of Destiny. But it's kind of weird because they were stuck there the entire time and they didn't go anywhere, and it felt like the action didn't pick up until like the last few pages, then it just stopped again. But
yeah, I think that was it was very different than the other previous books that had come out before it.
Yeah, but I think I know what you guys. I think I know why that is because I also found the 9th book a little bit underwhelming too. What she does is, while the 9th book was better than the 4th book, the 9th book was kind of at a low point in the 2nd arc, in the Lost Continent arc, or not the Lost Continent arc, the Jade Mountain Academy arc. But I think that she does a specific writing style the entire time. She starts off with the 1st book, she establishes the characters, she says, okay, this is what they're about, and this is the mission, and this is basically what's going on.
And can I just interrupt you there for just a second, because man, Tui's ability to build characters and like introduce them within like a page is super talent. Okay, anyway, continue.
It's
It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think that sometimes is kind of at a fault. And while she's an incredible writer, that seems to be kind of one of her flaws. One of her flaws is she backs herself into a corner, and to fix that, she introduces a new character.
Yeah.
So for instance, like I feel like in the new book there's a character called Io, okay? And she's a supporting character, Swordtail's sister. Okay. Io, her only purpose in the novel is to help Blue escape. Blue is the main character. Her only purpose is to escape, and then she never shows up again.
I really hope she comes back.
So I do too. But what happened is Swordtail something happens to Swordtail, so he can't help Blue. So Blue starts running, and Io helps him, but then Io just disappears, and then she's gone. The only reason she was there was she was a plot device. She was only there to help Blue escape and to continue the story.
Yeah.
So I think that it could have been a bit better done. I'm not a writer. I know, but I do know it's challenging. I do also know, however, that going and faking out stuff like that, like creating a character just to have them thrown away, is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Although, I feel like there are some points that I feel like, oh man, that character was so short-lived when they should have had a longer time. but then they do end up coming back, and I get that, like, oh my gosh, they came back. And you can't get that reaction, you can't get that feeling without having a character that sort of makes a short appearance and then leaves,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not the same if you have them for a while and then, oh, that character hasn't been around for a while, oh, there they are again, okay, maybe they were just forgotten for like a little while, which happens.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a little more rewarding sometimes. Obviously sometimes it's like, oh, that that
It just
was
happened.
a bit useless,
Yeah.
but uh
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Glory says he's waiting for more Legends books if there are any. The author said that if she's gonna do another Legends book, it's probably gonna be from the perspective of a scavenger. And
Oh, really?
she said it might be, and it also might be in during the Scorching.
Ooh, I would really like to know more about the Scorching.
While this isn't really an official thing, I'm not confirming this. I'm not saying it's an official thing. I've heard people say that that's what the idea is. However, there are priorities, and this specific part is one of them. Like, she's got to write the 12th book, but she sometimes needs to go back and write a Legends book. So, for instance, there was a year gap between books 8 and 9 because she had to write Darkstalker first. There was no way to really understand book 9 well if you hadn't read Darkstalker first, because it gives backstory and it explains why Darkstalker is the way he is, instead of just saying, oh, he's a villain. Shalpon wants to learn more about the Scorching. I do too. Glory says it'll be interesting. I think it'll be extremely interesting. We know basically nothing about it. All we know is that it exists. It was hinted at in the 6th book, and it was also hinted at a little bit in the first arc, just a little bit.
Yeah, like, what are the details? Why is it there? Can we know more? Please tell us more.
Yeah, she'll, like, if I ever go to like one of those meetups, I'll ask, can you briefly tell us what the Scorching is?
Yes.
She probably will like pass it off and say, I don't want to talk about that yet, but it doesn't hurt to try. If any of you go up to any of her meetups, which she usually does them around the northeastern part of the United States, if you go there, ask her what the Scorching is, please. Okay? Please do it. Do it, and then come talk to me, come talk to Sunbeam, come talk to any of us. We want to know, all right? But like I was saying, with the whole arc thing and how she progresses the writing, she starts with the first book and she says, she basically establishes the characters, establishes the conflict, and says, okay, here's how we're going to do it. And then she starts a mini arc with the main character. So let's use the first arc, for instance, because it's a bit more dated. So the first arc is of Clay, Starflight, Sunny, Glory, and Tsunami, and they're all under the mountain and all that stuff. And then it's showing, hey, there's a prophecy, and we have been destined to fulfill it and stop the war between all the tribes. And that's there. We set it up. We know exactly what we're going for. These guys are going to stop the Civil War. Now, we got that set up. We got that squared away. Now we start a thing with Clay. Clay has no idea where he comes from, and he really wants to find his family. That's his one goal. He's like, while I'm doing this, I want to go find out where I came from and who I really am. So that starts his whole mini arc, and he's like, okay, so they escape the mountain, they make it to the Mud Kingdom eventually, and then he learns about his tragic past and about his tragic family, saying, oh, hey, we sold you to the Talons for food. And he sucks about that, and he's sad, but then he learns about his brothers and sisters, and he's happy about that. He has a dilemma and all that. Second book then is really expanding upon the characters and figuring out more about what these characters are and making them a bit more real. So it's Tsunami, and she wants to figure out if she's really the lost, if she wants to be like the lost Sea-Wing princess, and it turns out she is. And then she has a whole thing, and there's like treachery and stuff with eggs being destroyed by something, and she fights Orca's statue and all that. The third book is just same thing. It's a bit more, but this is kind of a turning point, because this is where stuff gets interesting. Now, I'm not gonna just do a. I'm gonna just do a spoiler warning for the rest of the stuff because this is where stuff actually gets interesting. Third book, they go to the rainforest. They get kind of stuck there, and then they all just hang out there for a little bit. And then Glory challenges the queens, and she wins. So she becomes the queen of the Rainwings, and this becomes their home base from now on. Their main central area, the place where they go to kind of just stop and relax and just figure out what they're gonna do next, is in the Rainforest Kingdom. Then Starflight gets pulled away, and and then that starts the fourth book. The fourth book, that is starting. You all right there?
Yep. I just fell. I'm good.
the fourth book starts up the beginning of the end. It gives exposition as to how this is going to end, and it kind of gets the train moving along for the final book. So Starflight is whisked away to the Nightwing Island, and he learns about the false dragon nets of destiny in case something goes wrong and they have a Skywing. And he learns that the prophecy is fake and all that. Then the volcano starts erupting, and he says, "All right, we'll let you leave, but you have to accept Glory as the queen." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So then they all do that, and then Marasier dies, and Starflight gets blinded, and all that. Fifth book starts, and this is obviously the part where everything gets wrapped up. This is the height of all the action. Sunny gets taken away by some Nightwings, and they go, and she goes around. She meets Thorn, her mother, and the Outclaws and all that stuff, and then they go and decide the queen. So that book just wraps everything up in a neat little package, ties up all the ends. We still don't know what happened with the Obsidian Mirror, and it's very uncomfortable. Please help. But that's just what it does. So that's my very long, drawn out explanation of how everything works. So exposition, development, setting up the last book, all the resolution stuff.
Yeah. Also, like, 5 books is a lot to write.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
that's
keeping a story alive, and like the same plot essentially alive and interesting for 5 whole books.
But she is really good. You have a great memory of the first arc. Thank you. I was kind of struggling towards that 5th book there. I don't remember too much about that one, but her niche is that she writes about different characters every book.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how she does it, because now you get to look at it from an entirely different perspective, and that's what keeps the books fresh. It's not just a third person view, or it's the same character the entire time and you know exactly how he or she thinks, and that's just what you can expect. If something happens, you know what's going to happen, you know how she's going to react to it or he's going to react to it. With this, it changes up everything, because now it's like, okay, how is this character going to react to it versus this character?
Yeah. And I love all of the characters, and I love getting inside all of their heads. And I feel like, especially with like the 5th book, like Sunny's book, some of them I don't know the character well enough, or like I know the character but I don't know the character. And then you read their book, and even though you thought, oh yeah, that's the character that does this and this, all the stereotypes or whatever that you saw from the outside
are just
maybe
gone.
Fits in, but like they're usually just, oh my gosh, this character actually has a completely different perspective, which takes a little bit, at least for me, like especially with some books, to wrap my head around. But it's also really smart, because if you're writing a whole bunch of characters and you're making characters, you're gonna have to put them into some sort of category. You can't, like, it's really hard to have that, you know, super outgoing, bold character also be really soft. Like, it's hard to write that. So writing that from the outside, like what they show on the outside, and then being able to write their feelings from the inside from like 2 different perspectives is really smart character-wise. And I think it helps make all the Wings of Fire characters that have books written about them so interesting and like very detailed, is because, I mean, oftentimes I think of myself differently than I think other people think of me, and I think that's all of us, you know?
Yeah. There's this whole quote. It's like this whole Japanese quote, and it's called the Three Faces quote. Okay, and the quote goes like this: the first face you show to the world. The second face you show to your close friends and your family. The third face you never show anyone. It's the truest reflection of who you are. Now,
Yeah.
this so absolutely definitely ties in to the Wings of Fire books because you have multiple different things. So, the first this actually really is perfect for the first arc books. The Dragonets of Destiny. They're the best
Yeah.
examples of this because we've seen them from all three. The first face you show to the world. In the second arc, they become supporting characters. They become outsiders. Moon is not friends with Clay. Moon is not friends with Tsunami or Starflight or Glory or Sunny. Okay, she sees them. Well, not Glory because Glory's off somewhere else, but the first four.
Yeah.
Um, she only sees them as teachers or acquaintances. She doesn't see them as close friends or family. So how we see them through Moon's eyes is how everybody. Hey Cougar, welcome to the stream, Cougar Coast. Um,
Mhm.
we usually see that's how everybody sees these specific dragons. Uh, the second face you show to your close friends and family is a good representation of the first arc and how the other characters see that one character. So, if we use Clay again, for instance, the second through fifth books show what the other four think of Clay. And then the third face you never show anyone as the truest reflection you are. That's the first book with Clay's internal monologue.
Yeah.
So the author has done this perfectly. She was successfully able to let us see the character from three different ways, and that really makes them an incredible character.
Yeah. Can we talk about what makes Wings of Fire so unique?
Yeah, sure.
Because there are a ton of dragon books. I know because I have an entire drawer just dedicated to dragon books. But the thing that makes Wings of Fire such an amazing series that I can enjoy to this day is the fact that it's dragons, and it's just dragons, and it's from the perspective of dragons, and humans are literally just another animal to them. And that unique perspective of writing a fantasy book in that way, specifically about dragons and making this crazy amazing world, is unlike any other dragon book series I've read. Although actually, I don't know if any of you guys have read them yet, but the author who wrote the Last Dragon Chronicles just started a new series called The Earth Dragons, and it is also from the dragon's perspective. And it sounds, from what I've heard about it, like the same sort of thing as Wings of Fire. But Wings of Fire did it first. And it's so unique in that way that if you love dragons, or even if you just enjoy the fantasy aspect, it's you're not going to get another book like it.
No, because she has a very unique writing style.
Yeah.
Her writing style is a little bit. People will call it immature, but I call it personal. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't see people constantly using super crazy words that are like really advanced that only a college level English major would know. They're just normal words that people would use in everyday dialect. So when there's something being created, like a setting being established or a character being described, it's written in a way that feels like the instead of the narrator is describing it to you, they're telling you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally understand that. And it's so true because you could have a narrator that narrates everything with big fancy words and makes it sound all pretty, or you could be reading a book from a character's perspective, what they're going through, what they would say to you if they were telling the story. And that's what she uses instead, which I feel like not only makes the connection between the reader and the character, but also just helps develop the character and the story itself and what's going on in a way that doesn't happen that often.
Mm-hmm.
but it still is intelligent and it's still beautifully crafted, which is it's a really fine line, and she does an amazing job writing that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think it's really well made overall. I really think that just it's a unique writing style. The dragons in Wings of Fire do stuff and have stuff the humans do, and normally have them not shown as animals. They behave like humans, says Glory. I agree. They're very human-like, but they have a bit of that primal nature mixed in, and they mix that in with the Skywing Arena. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, that was just them fighting, and it's very natural. They lose all their sense of humanity per se, and they go back to their primal instincts of you have to kill,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was really interesting. And that kind of leads me to another topic. I feel like Tui is not doing it with the blood much.
In
There needs to be more blood and gore. Now, I know I want to see characters die because that creates a good story. If you make characters die easily, it creates a sense of tension, and it creates a
That's
sense of
true.
it raises the stakes, because now instead of it just being they get hurt but then they come back. Yeah. um
Yeah,
Shalapon says it's so easy to fall into the Wings of Fire world. It makes you feel like you personally want to know how each dragon is yourself.
it's so
um
true.
yeah. Didn't the following books become less violent because she felt they were too human to be so violent? Well, they're very human-like, yes, but they're still dragons. They're not human.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
I mean, like towards the some of the later books, Peril burns Winter, and Winter is in immense pain, but then Turtle just heals him with a rock
yeah,
because he's an animus.
yeah,
So all of the risk that came with that just left. It's just gone because whoa, Turtle's animus. And I know that was a story device because it showed the other main characters that Turtle was an animus, and he was trying to hide that for so long. But still, you could have done a bit more with the blood. Give him a permanent scar there instead of just like healing him completely like nothing ever happened. But
yeah,
I mean, if you have characters die, that creates a sense of depth
yeah. I totally agree.
or
I
or,
feel like
or risk.
there should be more. Uh, there should be more violence and there should be more gore. And I think she started out writing it in sort of a children's, I think it was originally meant to be like a children's book, but obviously it's turned into way more of like a young adult and even like teen book. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's really great that way, but I feel like it needs a little bit more. And there are moments that, yes, there is violence. For example, Darkstalker commanding Arctic to basically,
Disembowel himself.
yeah, that's pretty dark, but that's like one of the darkest moments, and there's not enough, at least for me, because I totally get what you're saying. And if it's because, oh, children would also be reading this, oh, some people might not like that, like, you can't, yeah, it can't be an excuse. Like, you have to follow the instincts of the characters, and you have to make a good story, and if that requires you to kill someone, or I guess some dragon off, or create more violence, do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna make it better. Like,
Yeah. If there's one thing
if
I really hate, it's fan service.
yeah, yes. And like, if it's too much for them, because I've read books where I'm like, all right, this is a good plot line. It sounds like it'd be interesting, but this is a bit too romantic. Like, you've read those books. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I don't finish them, or I don't finish the series. Like, I finished the first book and I'm like, like, people will do that. You can't just constantly, try to hold yourself back in order to please everyone, because you can't.
What about Tortoise when Coral killed her because of the egg smashing? Yeah, that was in book
Mm,
9. That was in book 9, but it doesn't feel like there's as much. It feels like maybe it's once a book for a page, maybe once every other book for a page, but it doesn't feel like it happens as often as it should.
yeah, especially for a world full of dragons. Like,
Yeah, I mean, think about this in the 10th book, at the end of the 10th book, that was the second book? No, I
yeah,
thought there was I was thinking of
there
the
was a different
prologue
one.
of the ninth book,
Yeah, that was.
but that was something else. But what I'm thinking is in the 10th book, there was a fight, like a huge battle between the Ice Wings and the Night Wings. You know how much gore there was, or how much blood? Basically none.
Wow.
A
Oh
huge
yeah.
battle. It's basically like the Battle of Thermopylae all over again. But
Yeah.
but for those of you that don't know what the Battle of Thermopylae is, have any of you ever seen 300? Any of you ever seen the movie 300?
I have not.
Well, if you have, that's the Battle of Thermopylae. It occurred in Greece, in ancient Greece, and it was against the Persian Empire, and Xerxes was like, "Whoa, I don't like you guys, so I'm gonna start the Persian War," and uh, there were three main battles in Athens and Sparta. They came together. There was the Battle of Marathon, Thermopylae, all that stuff. There was one more battle which I can never forget, which I can never remember. I mean, but the Battle of Thermopylae is there was a few Spartans and then there were a ton of Persians, and the Spartans lose, but it was a huge freaking battle.
Yeah.
That's
Uh.
the fight with
Yeah.
Anemone and Turtle. That also wasn't too bloody, but
See.
there
Yeah.
there are
Because there are lots.
fights,
There
but
are lots of fights,
there are
but
no lasting effects.
yeah, there's fights. There are plenty of fights in the books. There's like plenty of attacks and defenses and all that sorts of stuff. Dragon hassle or whatever. But there's not enough, yeah, lasting effects and like detail, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't want to read like all of the details. Obviously, no one wants to read stuff about that, but more detail would be nice.
Yeah, Shalopon gives a good example. Clay's burn scar. Well, not really the burn scar. Like, when he got bit by the viper and Peril stuck her talon in and burned away all the venom, and Starflight's blindness. I was gonna bring that up, but yes, they're absolutely right. Starflight going blind from the volcano erupting, and Clay getting a limp permanently and a scar from burning a hole in his skin in his body.
Yeah. And like I think you can agree. We're not saying that there isn't any. There just needs to be more.
Right.
Just thinking about the world and the characters and what's going on, it deserves to be more for the specific plot.
Yeah. So, like in book 11, something happens where it's a lot of fighting that leads to a lot of fighting, but there is very little, if any, actual blood or lasting consequences.
Yeah.
So, it's weird. There's, but I feel like there could be a lot more blood and gore. That's not to say that it's a bad story. Like, it's still doing just fine without it, but it just needs more. It needs to be more dragony and less humany, you know?
Yeah. It's a good topic of discussion for a podcast.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Um, is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we just go to the Q&A?
I said I was going to talk about Sunbeam
Oh,
a little bit.
oh yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I won't be long because it's probably not that exciting.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
But basically, I mean, I first got into Wings of Fire I was at the library, and I was looking at books, and my mom was like, "Ooh, this looks cool. It has a dragon on it," and it was the first book of Wings of Fire, and it basically sat in my room on my desk until it had to be renewed, and I was like, it just doesn't look interesting to me. Like, I was like, I don't even want to try. And the funniest thing is, every time something like that happens, and then I end up trying it, it becomes something that I love. That's happened to like other things that I love now.
Yeah.
Is I always hesitate to try it at first. And then of course other things that I immediately try, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
But that was the Things of Fire, and I read it. I read the first book, and I was like, oh my gosh, when's the next one? And then I found the second one was out, and I think when I started the fourth book, The Dark Secret, was coming out like a month away, and so I binged the first 3 books from the library, and then just from there got into them. Every time a new one would come out, I'd read it, usually in like the day of it coming out. And for a while I didn't know anyone else who had read the books, and I don't know if you guys know her, but Warrior Obsidian on DeviantArt. She's also like Gecko, I think Gecko something on Instagram. I met her
Okay.
at this like retreat thing, and we happened to find out that we both loved Wings of Fire, and we were like, oh my gosh, the first person I've ever met who's also loved Wings of Fire. And this was years ago.
Yeah.
And we kind of decided, hey, it was like a writing retreat, so we were like in the middle of writing stories. We wrote like a one shot about this rain wing, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, we should write a book together. So, we were like 11 or something, and so that's when we started formulating a book about these 4 hybrids. This is the 5th book had come out by then, and it was like Sunbeam was one of them. There was like a Sea Icewing and a Sky Nightwing and a Mudwing Scavenger. I don't know, man. Don't even ask. And and Sunbeam. And I kind of took a liking to Sunbeam, and we met 2 other people who ended up being like, hey, we will take charge of these other characters, and Sunbeam just ended up falling into my hands. And I just started to develop her, and I drew her, and this was when I was like just finding out that I like drawing dragons too, and from there I kind of just took her as my OC. And at first, like for a while, she wasn't considered an OC. She was just a book character that I was working on and drawing.
Yeah, one second. Shelf Spawn says terracotta, right?
Yep. Yeah, good job. Yep, that was terracotta. Oh, the good days. and then yeah, she just kind of developed into someone that I gave her a lot of changes, but she stayed very similar for the past few years, and she's had kind of a story arc that I followed. I don't know if you know, I started on Wattpad. That was my like first social media, I think. And I wrote Wings of Fire fanfiction, and I wrote a lot of Wings of Fire fanfiction.
I've heard.
Yeah. And then I went to art, and I was like, this is cool, and I kind of abandoned that. I definitely want to release my story ideas at some point, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish some of those. But I just kind of developed Sunbeam and turned her into my personal character and made her a lot like myself.
Okay.
And that's kind of how she came about.
Yeah. Base says, I remember one time in an art class I found 2 Wings Fire fans I screamed in joy. I actually have a funny story about that. So, this was actually last year. I was in my English class, and there was this one girl, and she was just drawing stuff. And I saw her, she was just drawing some dragons. And I looked at it, I said, that looks like an Icewing. But I didn't say anything. I said, that looks like an Icewing. And I also, the year prior to that, I saw what looks like a Rainwing on a whiteboard somewhere. And I also saw, like, there was another whiteboard in another class a year later, and I saw a Rainwing on that. So I was like, okay. And she had like a sketchbook, she had a ton of loose papers and things like that. And I said, hey, can I look at this? And she said, yeah. And I looked at it, and I pointed out the Icewing. I said, what's this? And she said, oh, it's an Icewing. And I said, you read Wings of Fire? And she's like, yeah. So that started. So I was ecstatic, because it's not every day you see this.
Yeah. I go to a high school that also has a middle school, but they're different. Like, they're different campuses and everything, but it's like the same director, like, overall.
Yeah.
And I was there for like one of our high school dances are always hosted there, and I was there, and they have this giant chalkboard wall that is always has different art on it, and there was a giant like 5-foot tall Icewing.
Oh my god.
And I was like, hey.
Who did that?
Hey.
Did you figure out who did it?
No, I have no idea, because it was the middle school and I am in high school.
Cougar says, "This year someone caught me sketching and noticed there was waff, and I nearly screeched. Although they weren't a fan. Go figure. This is great 10. Phantom Junkie, welcome to the stream. How's it going, dude? Uh, Glory says, I found the British version of the third book, and when I finished it, not only was the third book, see if there were any more on Amazon, and that's how I got into the series.
That's awesome.
I actually got into the series in kind of an interesting way. Back when I was like, back a while back, I was playing some dragon-related game on something, and there was this one person who I became pretty fond of, and I don't talk to her anymore, but she said, oh, hey, have you ever heard of Wings of Fire? And I said, no, what is it? And she said, oh, it's about these dragons who want to fulfill this prophecy and stuff like that, and you should read it. And I said, okay. So she told me the names, and I went to the book, and I asked my mom. I was like 11. I said, Mom, can we go to the bookstore? I want to find this book. And she said, okay. So we went there, and I found it. And then as soon as we got back in the car, I just started reading, and I fell in love.
Yeah.
That first scene. Hurricane, why do we have the same start to Wings of Fire? I don't know, man. But I started reading. I fell in love. The prologue was great because that was the one where there was the Ice Wing, and I think his name was like Hivitter or something like that. And
oh yeah, Hivitur.
Hivitter. I never knew how to pronounce that. And yeah, he died in the egg and all that stuff. Shalapon says, I was forced to read the first one by my friend, then once I caught up to where he had a competition so you could catch up with the most recent novel. I got one of my friends, his name's Edgar. I got my friend Edgar to read the books, and he really liked it. And I would impress him because I really impressed him once. I don't talk to him anymore either because he lives like half an hour or 45 minutes away from me, but I said, hey dude, I can recite the entire prophecy by heart. He's like, can you really? so I did it, and it blew his mind. It rocked his world. It was great.
That's so funny.
I got into this.
I was just saying, should we go do a Q&A?
Yeah, let me just read the questions here. I got these things. I got into the series when I was visiting family in London, and there's a story with that. Just DM me on Discord that. I'd love to read that. Fandom Junkie. My start was when I was reading. When one of my friends was reading the first book, and I was like, "What's that?" He said, "Wings of Fire." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Shadowfang said, "I found out at the book fair and was like, dragons."
You should host a like how you came into Wings of Fire like contest, but it doesn't have to be like who has the best story. Just like write your story out, and then whoever enters can be like randomly picked for some prize. But that'd be really cool to like see who
how everybody got into it.
Find out about it.
Yeah. I'd like to say this. I'd like to talk about Wave and kind of like what you did with Sunbeam. So Wave is a very complicated character. He's very weird as to how he started and where he got and how he got to today. So originally, I was about 11 at the time. This was just before I learned about Wings of Fire. I had a pretty big fondness for dragons. Not like I do now, but quite a bit. So my mom really liked to paint. So she bought like a ton of paint. She bought like canvases for me and my brother, and she said, draw whatever you want. So I drew a blue dragon with red eyes and like silver arms, and it was really bad, but I named him Hurricane, and that is where I get my username from. I name him Hurricane. So I eventually learned about Wings of Fire, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. The thought of hybrids never crossed my mind at that point. So I originally had Wave as a Sea Wing, full-blooded Sea Wing, and that's why I called him Wave, because he was a Sea Wing at the time, not a Sea Wing Ice Wing. So he was very light blue with a green underbelly and bright green eyes. And he was very happy and he was very happy-go-lucky and energetic and all that stuff. And I started going along, and then I eventually made him a bit more buff, and I made him a bit less happy and a bit more serious and stoic. And I slowly started shifting his personality. And eventually I'm like, you know what? I think the best looking tribe in the entire series is Ice Wings. They are, in my opinion, the best designed dragons in the series. So I made him a Sea Wing Ice Wing. So I did a few things, and I made it kind of weird. And at that point, I've already gone through about 6 revisions of the character.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I kept on drawing him, and I eventually made him a bit more buff and a bit shorter, a bit taller, or something like that. I just changed around his character a little bit, and now I've made two versions of him. I've made a I like to imagine Ice Wings with Russian accents, and it's hilarious. Like Slavic accent, I like that.
Отлично.
Oh my god. I eventually now I've made two versions of Wave. I made a Wings of Fire version and a non-Wings of Fire version, and I like both of them because I like the Wings of Fire version because he's been in Wings of Fire almost from the start, but I like the non-Wings of Fire version because the design, if in my opinion, is so much better. I like the non-Wings of Fire version better than the Wings of Fire version design wise, but yeah, I don't know, but that's the very abridged story of Wave. So we've talked about Wave, we talked about Sunbeam, we've talked about Sunbeam the person, and we've just talked about Wings of Fire, where it's gone, how it's been, and all that stuff, and we talked a little bit about Book 11. So now I think will be a good time to start a little Q&A session in the chat. So if any of you have any questions that you have for me or Sunbeam or anything related to that, now would be a good time to answer them. We're probably going to take questions for the next 15 or 20 minutes, so fire away.
And actually, while you guys are writing your questions, fun fact about Sunbeam that not a lot of people know.
Ooh.
She only used to be only changed to colors of like shades of yellow and tans. So really only Sandwing colors. She could change within that range, but she didn't develop her reds and greens until she was basically, long story short, and old plot lines, taken to this island where there's this hybrid who is building like a army of hybrid. I don't know. This was before like hybrids even existed. This was before Book 5 came out. So technically
hybrids always existed.
Yes, but like before they were released, Sunbeam was Sunbeam was born first. But like she was taken to this island, and this guy, this big dragon guy, was like, "Let me help you realize your full power," and that's when she learned how to use her Rainwing fangs and fully unlock access to her full Rainwing colors.
Ooh.
Which was really interesting.
So
there's early art of Sunbeam that is yellow and tan.
So what scales can she change? Like, is she limited?
No, she was. She used to be limited to yellows and tans.
No, I mean like specific parts of her body.
Anywhere.
Anywhere, okay.
She's unlocked that complete Rainwing side. But she's also like my oldest OC, so I probably wouldn't do that same thing if I made her now. But the fact that she's so old, it's kind of hard to change now, and I love her too much.
Yeah, I understand. So questions. First, we got Drop the Bass. Yo, hurry! What's the bit about? Not telling you. You'll find out soon. By the way, for any of you not knowing this, I have been in the process of making a video. It's going to be about 30 minutes long, and it's going to be on this channel. I originally planned for it to be out by the end of the month, but I am custom making every asset. It's going to be over 2,500 words. Then I have to edit and keyframe almost every single thing in that video. And for any of you that know keyframing, it is very long. It takes a very long time. It's not fun. So doing all of that in a month is an extreme undertaking, so I gave myself another month to do it. So I plan to have it out by the end of August. Yeah. So, but I encourage all of you to go and join my Discord server, and I'm going to post that right now. But there are a few teasers on there which I think you guys will like. So I am going to send a link in the chat right now. But go and check. Yeah, go ahead and take a look at the teasers. It's there if you guys want to go and join it. But next we have what is your opinion on fan tribes? And do you have any? I don't mind them really, so long as they don't mess with the canon series. But
yeah,
I wouldn't, so long as they mess with the canon series, and that's all I really have to say about that. I don't have any fan tribes. I was planning on making one, but I just ended up not. That's all.
For me, I'm like, are they good? Have they been thought out? Some fan tribes, you can tell the amount of work that has been put into them, and specifically for those, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing just for the fact that how much detail they have.
Uh-huh.
Because the real tribes have so much detail and so much diversity. There are
Yeah.
certain fan tribes that I'm like,
They,
mm,
they made them in like 2 days, or like half a day.
yeah, yeah. But there are definitely some that I really do love, especially if their design is really good, and yeah, if they don't conflict with the canon uh stuff too much. So like, I don't know, like Shalapon's reef wings, I love them. They're super cool. Peak wings are really cool. I have one of my own. I love her. uh
I personally have never liked Peakwings because they are
yeah.
just they. It's not that I have anything against them necessarily. I just don't like their design. They look like sheep,
Mm,
and I just never have liked their design.
they don't follow the general Rings of Fire rule.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Marble's Blessed Isles fan tribes? Shalpon says thank you so much. That means a lot. Reef Wings are really interesting. Yeah.
Oh
I have not heard of the Blessed Isles fan tribes. Have
yeah.
you,
I
Sunbeam?
think I might.
I'll look
I
them up
think if I
later.
saw what you're talking about, I would be like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Yeah. Opinion on the Wings of Fire Exodus for everyone leaving like 2 months ago. So, like Jamatis left, Sahel left, and a few other people left. But I personally, they can do what they want. I still like this. I still like the series. I still think it's great, and it really is sad to see Sahel and Jamatis especially just stop doing it.
Yeah.
Jamatis was actually a pretty good friend of mine for a little while. We don't talk too much anymore, and I'm gonna try and fix that soon. But she just said it was like I don't know traumatizing and whatever it was. I don't know. Makes no sense to me, but it's I'm not her, so uh but she can do what she wants. It really is a shame to see them go, but it's their art, not mine. So
Yeah. I I think I definitely had a moment in between. For me, it was the books. It was like we had book 10, and then we had to wait an entire year for book 11, and between that year, because the story kind of came to a close, like it was different when we had Darkstalker, because the story, the like arc was still going, but because the arc came to a close, I didn't lose interest because I love the books. I still do. I wasn't as invested in it as much, and my art kind of slowed down, and all that kind of slowed down. I did some other stuff, uh, but for me, it was like the lack of new content. But of course, book 11's out, and now I'm like
now people
way
are gonna
back
get back
into it.
into
Not
it.
that I ever left.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of that happens to me a lot. I kind of fall out of the books and then I go right back into them. Uh,
Yeah,
so I kind of think there was kind of a falling out for the whole community. It's kind of bouncing back though, which is great. Yeah, that's how it happens because it's a 6 month cycle. So for those 4 or 5, it pretty much goes. There's the book releases. There's a month of hype, and then it just dies down. And then the month before the book comes out, there's hype for the next book, and then it comes out, and then it repeats itself.
yeah,
So I think that with that extra year, people are like, "Wow, what now?" And they just got bored and they just left. And while the 10th book was a decent closer, they like the 10th book was a really good closer, yeah, but it's just it had the ability to continue, and she took that chance, and it's been good so far.
yeah, definitely. Okay.
Everyone was just fighting. Yeah, Cold Front. I agree with that. But everything it looks like it's dying down. All the drama is coming to a close, and it looks like a new dawn is rising upon the community. Let's see. So this is a question for you, Sunbeam. How long has Sunbeam been shipped with Kibli?
Oh gosh. Ever since Moon Rising, I think, because originally I I read Moon Rising and I was like, dude, Keebley is Keebley is amazing. And I was kind of just like, he's smart, he's funny, he's like everything I would want to see in a man. And then I was like, well, if I can't
If I can't
like
love him,
have a crush
oh
on
man,
him
if
without
I
being
can't love him,
weird,
Sunbeam will.
Sunbeam will. And so I kind of hated it at first. I was like, oh, this is so cliche. But at the same time, I was like, Sunbeam's basically me, and so I can't just not do it. And I think it started with me formulating like, what if the events of Moon Rising didn't happen, but because if like Sunbeam went to Jade Mountain Academy and met Keebly, and then it just kind of went from there. And then Secrets in Sand was born, which was my fan fiction, and then people liked it a lot more than I thought they would. Like, it kind of blew up, and I was kind of like, okay, I didn't expect this. It was kind of like a not a crack ship, but kind of like, haha, this is so fitting because it is for me in my mind because Keebly's awesome.
Shalopon
And
loves
then
Secrets and
everyone
Sands.
else just kind of joined in, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should invest in this a little more. And I had people who would be like, Keebly's already shipped with people, and I'm like, I know, this is in an alternate universe. And I kind of had to put that disclaimer out a lot for anyone who would like reading my fan fiction or anything. And I completely agree now. It is very cliche and very weird, but apparently it caught on, and so I'm just gonna go with that.
Shalopon says, I love Secrets and Sand. And Fandom
Oh,
Junkie
thank
says,
you.
Secrets and Sand got me to write my own crappy and probably rushed
Oh,
fanfiction.
oh my gosh. That makes me so happy. I really need to finish it. I don't know if I'm ever going to finish it. It has a good plot line, I think. Um it's just like finding the time to do that in this day and age with me in high school, and I have like a sort of job now, and life just turning into that for me has been art slowed down, and so I can't even imagine spending time trying to write a book. But someday I will finish it, or at least release my outline. Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
Oh, Spudbowler!
you guys are so
Spudbowler!
oh,
Spudbowler's here! Hi! How's it going?
hi,
Secrets
thank
and Sand
you.
was lit, she says. I hate that word. um,
Also, thank you, Shallow Pond. Like, thank you for that.
let's see. Shadowfang says, "Do you have any advice for people who want to write their own Wings of Fire stories?"
Ooh, I mean, have you written any? Have you written anything?
No.
Okay, so I guess this is kind of directed toward me. Um, I would just say make it unique, because the thing about Wings of Fire, it's such a unique and really cool and vast world. There are so many opportunities for for stories to originate, and that's why the series keeps. I mean, I feel like that's why it's kept going, is because there's still so much to explore. Um, I think the really important thing is to like know how the Wings of Fire world works and bring something new to the table. Uh, and stay true to the world, stay true to the tribes, um, and just make it cool. And if you try to keep I guess the feeling and the love of Wings of Fire that readers already have, the same genre, the same idea. If you try to kind of hold on to what the books actually are and use that as inspiration for your own, I think that helps a lot, because people who are going to read the fan fiction are generally people who have read the real books, and so they're also going to like it. You got to have you got to have interesting new characters. It's always good when you're writing a fan fiction to tie back somehow to the canon books, the real world, the real characters, because that gives people something to go off of. It's not just oh, I'm gonna write this story and just make it inside of the Wings of Fire world. If you have a connection to the real books and the real characters, it brings that familiarity in, and I think people will connect to that more. So I guess stay true to the novels and make it interesting, make it exciting, put a little mystery in there, put something new and unique that people haven't heard of before, and yeah, that's it.
Shallow Pond says, I just realized how much I've missed this community. Tell you what,
Oh,
send me a note with all the information, and we'll get you on here one day.
yes, Shallow Pond.
We'll get you on here if you want it. Okay, and we'll talk, and we'll have a good time. You can reminisce about the old books, talk about the new books, all that good stuff. Shadowfang says thank you so much to you, Sunbeam.
Anytime.
Okay, let's see. Next question. Let's see. It looks like
I don't know.
that's it of those. Are there any more questions? What?
Favorite fan tribe
Who's?
was in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, that was. Yeah, that was the that was Cold Friend's question. We already answered it. Shallow Pond has a question. Do it. Let's hear it. If anybody else has any more questions, feel free to just bring them in. We will just stay here until we're done answering questions.
Questioned out.
Until we are questioned out. Yes, I am ending this probably within the next 20 minutes. I know I said 20 minutes to do this, but it's been 20 minutes, and you guys are great. So I'll add another 20 minutes on top of it. At 45, we're stopping the stream. Can we have multiple people on the podcast at once? I think it would be awesome for the community. I will consider that. I'll think about it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So
I think that'd be great.
I'll consider that. Just note
Start
me it
out
or
with-
something.
Start out with a few episodes, and then escalate from there.
Yeah, I'm thinking the first few episodes are just going to be one-on-one for the first few weeks, and then later on we'll actually get into more people, like multiple people. So I think that'd be good. I was about to ask a question that involves spoilers. As long as it's not for the 11th book, I don't care. If it's spoilers for book 1 through 10, it doesn't matter. That's totally cool. But if it's spoilers for
Or
book
any
11,
extras.
hold your question. Yeah, so any other questions for Sunbeam for me about our opinions on Wings of Fire or something like that? It is? Okay. That's fine. Then you can tell you what.
If it's
The first stream that we have in August, which will be 3 weeks from today, it'll be on August 4th. I'll let you ask questions about the 11th book, because then it'll be out for over a month, and that gives plenty of time for people to read the books.
yeah, and if it's a question for me, just note me or message me.
Yeah.
Because I would love to answer it.
Yeah. Least favorite characters for both of us. Ooh,
Oh.
that's a good question.
Least favorite because I hate them, or least favorite because they don't have a good character development, character building.
Yeah. Yeah,
those
don't
are your
like the
things.
characters or just badly written characters. Either or. Okay,
Okay.
so ooh, this is a good question. That's a really good question. I can tell you my least favorite ship.
Ooh, yes.
My least favorite ship in the entire series is Anemone and Tamarin. I hate that one. It's fan service. I said earlier, Chameleon. I don't like Chameleon. Yes, but he
Yeah.
kind of just showed up and disappeared. But I hate Anemone and Tamarin. I hate that. I hate it because it's just fan service. I have nothing wrong with them being lesbian characters at all. I don't care. The fact is that they were
There's
gay.
nowhere to go with it.
They were lesbian because the fans wanted it. They wanted lesbian or gay characters. So she's like, all right, well let me just pull some names out of a hat, and that's what we'll do. There was no
Totally agree.
there was no development for those characters together. They just showed up occasionally in the books, but they never really spent enough time together to where it mattered. So I just don't like it. It's just fan service, and it was not well done.
Yeah.
I don't think. Wait, Cougar says I don't think Anemone and Tamarin was really fan service, but it's bad for other reasons. Like what? I personally think they just didn't have enough time together, and they don't really seem to mix well. It's just Anemone happens to like this guy. Go ahead, Sunbeam.
As for
There's just a lot of hype, and they aren't together. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. What are you thinking, Sunbeam?
I was gonna say I don't know about least favorite character. I mean, there are definitely characters that I'm like, wow, stop hurting my beautiful baby dragon boys and girls. Like I love my baby boys. I like stop hurting Keeply. But uh there are characters that I definitely am like I didn't connect with them as much as I feel other people did. Like I didn't make that, oh my gosh, this character is amazing, as much as I've seen a lot of people do. And I think one of them was for me was actually Winter. I never connected with Winter like I felt like like most people did. And so out of all of the main characters, out of all the characters that have their own perspective, he's probably the one that I feel like I never really got to know, or at least like I said, like connected with as much as I wanted to. Not my least favorite character though.
Yeah.
I should put it a different way, but that's what I have to say about that.
Beautiful baby dragon boys. Let's see. Spud Bowler says, "Who do you think the best character is development wise?" I'd say
Oh.
Darkstalker, because
Oh yeah.
he is a really interesting character, because he's a villain, but he doesn't think he is. He thinks that he is doing the. Sir Panda says, "Hey man, I was a fan of the Fallout series. Anyways, are you not gonna make any more?" I do gaming streams on Twitch now, so you can find me if you go on my page on my channel banner thing. You'll see at the bottom right there's a link to my Twitch channel. You can just go follow me there. And when Fallout 76 comes out, I'll probably be doing that with some friends. So you could just hit me up there. But yeah, Fallout 76 looks great, so I'll probably be doing that. I'm glad you're still into my stuff though. Appreciate it. Darkstalker was a really interesting character because he is a villain by the series standards, and he's the main antagonist of the second arc, but he doesn't think he is. He thinks he's a good guy and he's doing the right things, but
Like genuinely.
he
Like
he
genuinely.
he genuinely thinks that he's not a bad guy. He thinks that he's doing what's best for his tribe. So I think that he has been doing the right thing or the wrong things for the right reasons. So for instance, he sends a plague to the Ice Wings to kill every single one of them. I was the guy called Mage Jersey. That was a long time ago. Oh, okay then. He blames everyone for his problems, but I feel like deep down he knows that he is to blame. The Enchanted Scroll thing was pretty cool too. Yeah, I think that here's the thing: he's smart and he's clever. He knows the limitations of animus magic, so he was able to find a loophole and exploit that loophole by using the scroll as a talisman. So he could still do it whenever he wanted. He could still use it whenever he wanted and suffer none of the consequences. So
Yeah.
one of the things I'm wondering is, at the end of the 8th book, Peril burns the scroll. It's gone and it doesn't exist anymore, save for a few scraps of it. And then Darkstalker rises out. Did all of the insanity that would have been inflicted on him over the years be transferred back to him? I don't know. But he was a really well-made character. Even from birth, he could have had Whiteout also have powers, but he chose not to because he saw futures and he was like, nah, not a good idea. But he really cared. Like when he met Foeslayer again, he cried.
Yeah.
Like he is super genuine. He has the mind of a 7-year-old. He has the mind of a child, literally. So him seeing his mom after so many years is one of the best things that he could have ever hoped. And when he was hoping that he could see Clearsight again and he was apologizing, he broke down and he cried. Because
Yeah.
he was apologizing to Clearsight, who was long gone and died on Pantala, and he was heartbroken. He really was heartbroken. He regretted everything that he did to Clearsight and to Fathom and to all of them, and to Arctic and Foeslayer. Maybe not Arctic, but you know what I mean. But yeah, he was so genuine about it, and that's really an interesting way. It's so sad. Scroll play Despacito. Way to kill the mood. But yeah, I think that he was a really good character, and now he'll be immortalized as one of the most important villains. He's the Frieza to Wings of Fire. Who here watches Dragon Ball Z? He's the Frieza of this series, minus the whole coming back like 50,000 times part, and also turning golden. Anyway, Spud Bowler says, "Are there any fanon ideas that you've read about that you liked, or any that you've thought about?"
Like theories.
Like fan theories. First, I have to pay respects. One of the ones is the albatross hybrid theory. And if any of you have seen my video before, I made a 15-minute video saying that albatross is not a hybrid. And while people say he's confirmed to be a hybrid, I still don't believe it. Because the way it was worded is kind of confusing, and genetics just has it make no sense. But I'm not gonna make another video off it. I was thinking about the albatross hybrid theory, and based on the logic of the world, and based on it has nothing to do with the creator of the theory. It doesn't have anything to do with that, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Now, Icewing powers Animus powers originated from the Icewings. We can all agree on that. They are an Icewing trait, and they were passed to the Sea Wings, the Sand Wings, and the Night Wings, as far as we know. So, was there a Mudwing Animus? There might have been. But definitely the Sand Wings, Night Wings, and Sea Wings. And the Ice Wings were the first ones to have it, and they have the best control over it since they only use them once. So, I mean, while Albatross may have Icewing blood in him, I doubt that he has enough Icewing blood to be considered an Icewing Sea-Wing. Or a Sea-Wing Icewing. Phantom says, now the real question is, did the Sea Wings have animi before Albatross? He must have, because he couldn't have been a Sea Wing Icewing, fully like pure blood Sea Wing Icewing, because he just didn't look Icewing enough. But Spudbowler says, my question is, how did Icewing powers disappear completely once Arctic was gone, but despite there being pure royal lineage? That's a good question. Shadowfang says there haven't been any confirmed Mudwing or Rainwing animi. Neither was Skywings. If he was, then so would Lagoon and Pearl. Yeah, they'd have a well. If you look into genetics, okay, and this is super basic, like middle school grade genetics. There is the Animus gene has to be a recessive gene. But so that means that for an Animus child to exist, both parents must be either an Animus or have an Animus ancestor. So that means that since neither of Albatross's parents were confirmed to be animi, then he cannot be a Sea-Wing Icewing hybrid directly. So Shadowfang says also, I think Albatross has Icewing blood, but isn't necessarily a hybrid. I totally agree. I agree that Albatross has Icewing blood. I do not agree that he is an Icewing hybrid. Descent. He is of Icewing descent. I totally agree with that, but that does not make him a hybrid in my eyes. Where's Fathom's family now? Are they still living in their own in the ocean, or did they rejoin the royal family later on? I think that they just kind of went out and they lived by themselves, because Fathom kind of just had
turned into Reef Wings.
Yes! Yes! Please tell me Shallow Pond is still here. Please tell me Shallow Pond is here. But yeah, I don't think Albatross is a hybrid. Still. Where's Fathom's family now? Yeah, man, says Shallow Pond. Where's Fathom's family now? Are they still? Yeah, I definitely think that they're on their own now, because he just needs to be away from them, and he does not want to be part of the royal family anymore. He kind of just is like, hey Pearl, I think it was Pearl. Hey Pearl, you go and do that. You go and rule, because he can't rule anyway. He can't. It's a matriarchy. So I don't know. Cougar says most hybrids take almost entirely after their mother, except for Whiteout. That's interesting. Yeah, well, didn't Arctic like brainwash Whiteout towards the end there?
Oh yeah, there was something weird about that. I have to read it again.
Let's see. Fandom Junkie the World May Never Know Spud. Let's see. Shadowfang. I said I think I remember when Skyrimers first found out about the Seawing Animus, so they killed their Animus a long time ago. So that means that Skywings had Animus dragons, but they just killed them all. Okay, Arctic did brainwash Whiteout. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since there's royal blood, since there's royal Seawings running around with Animus blood, imagine the chaos that could cause. Yeah, no kidding. That could be very catastrophic. But
Actually,
I'm thinking about the thing where it's like where all of the Ice Wings disappeared. I think that when they disappeared, it was just completely out of the storyline because Arctic actually, now I think about it, Arctic never had dragonettes that were full Ice Wing, and Darkstalker never married anybody, and Clearsight married a Silkwing named Sunstreak.
yeah.
So, or no, Clearsight's not related. Whiteout married a Nightwing. Clearsight is not related to them. But Whiteout married a Nightwing named Thoughtful, and Darkstalker never married anybody. So that means that there was nobody to carry on the bloodline. Essentially, there was nobody to carry on Arctic's legacy because the only male did not ever marry. Cougar says headcanon that hive mind from the queen is because of Clearsight. Well, we're not talking about Book 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Book 11 talk until later. I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
I like that headcanon.
That's an interesting one. Diamond had sisters though. Yeah, that's true. That could be true. That's how they continued on.
This world is so detailed.
It's so deep. Yeah, it's not Elder Scrolls.
It's track of this at all. Like,
I don't even know. She probably has an entire wall lined with sticky notes.
She probably, I don't know if you've ever seen Parks and Rec. She's probably like Leslie Knope. She probably just has like tons of binders.
Headcanon that Mudwings sing opera
with like constant, just like every detail.
I'd say that Sea Wings would be more likely to do that since the Sydney Opera House is on the water. Maybe before the Summer Palace was gone, they would have opera shows. They would full-on opera productions at the Summer Palace for their visitors.
Yes. Sea Wings were like the entertainment tribe.
Well,
like,
yeah, they're the most civilized. They're the most civilized ones.
And like they make beautiful things. They write the scrolls.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Who wants to draw a Sea Wing opera house? A Sea Wing opera house. That's good.
I love that.
Hey, dude, how's it going again, man? Yes, Cougar, Shallow, do it. And once you've done that, tag me, please. I want to see that. I really want to see that. You guys need to just upload it and tag me in it, please. And also tag Sunbeam.
Yes, please.
Yes, that's perfect. Cold Front, you do the same. Spudbowler says, I headcanon that Sandwings lived in little clans/coves before a queen arose. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting. Like Africa, yeah. But the difference is that most Africans are poor, and the Sandwings were the richest. Fandom Junkie says, wait. What if the Sea Wing Queen is supposed to be a representation of Tui because she's constantly writing? But does she lasso her kids around?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
let's see. So, Tui doesn't strap her children. Here.
Or does she? Do we know? Can we ever be for sure?
Next meeting, if someone goes there, ask her. I am gonna line up all these questions. Do you so people are saying you're like Coral. Do you strap your kids up? R/. They have those kid backpacks with leashes. Yes.
The Huggy Wummy tummy bundle.
Oh God.
Yes, it works for pigs. Oh, we've gotten into a dark place. This has gone downhill.
Yeah. Man. Okay. Any more questions? Because I think
Yes.
we're about to run out of time, but we can take a few more questions.
Make them good.
Make them good. Yes.
Although, if you really want to know what I ate for breakfast,
What dark secrets do you hold? What dark secrets does she hold? Well, 12 through 15.
What dark secrets, Tui? What dark secrets do you hold?
The books 12 through 15 are going to be called The Dark Secret, parts 2, 3, 4, and 5. Make murder. Tui, what dark secrets do you hold? Make murder again. Well, Cougar says, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you eat for breakfast, Sunbeam? Mage also says, what did you eat for breakfast?
I had eggs and avocado mashed into my eggs with some bacon and nectarines and coffee.
Nice. Nice. How do you like your coffee?
It was good. It was from like yesterday.
No, how do you like it made, I mean?
Oh,
Straight black. Awesome. Wait, I was right? I was right?
Sometimes I put like a little bit of this like cardamom syrup that's made locally in it, but yeah.
But
otherwise, like black 2 sugars, I'll be upstairs.
So
I'm
right, essentially.
Yeah.
I guessed. Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, Shallow, she's switching it up. What'd you have for lunch?
Oh, a peanut butter and honey sandwich on white bread dunked in a jug of milk.
Okay. What'd you have for dinner?
I don't know about you, but it's 2:30 here, so
Yeah, it's 5:38 here. Remember when you guys remember that one time where I said it would last 30 minutes to an hour?
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Good
it's
thing I didn't have anything else planned today.
yeah,
You're really lucky about that.
we're an hour and 38 minutes in, so you do not wait, what? I don't know. You do not
Do
you do not do that. You do not do that to poor sandwiches.
oh.
Not completely. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are having a good time with this, and I hope to see you guys next time. But
Yes.
okay, final question. Serious, actual questions about me, about Sunbeam, about Wings of Fire, about the podcast, about anything. What did you have for dinner yesterday? Ooh, I had steak.
I had a sandwich.
Good old
from
sirloin.
Jimmy John's and a cookie.
Good old sirloin steak. Ooh. Yes. Sounds good. I love Jimmy John's. Nathan, are you pregnant? Yes, and it's yours. But how many more podcasts will there be? There will be as much as I can do without running out of people. Heck, I might bring Sunbeam back one day.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Not next week, not the week after. Maybe in maybe in the future I'll bring Sunbeam back because she's been having a good time and I know how excited she's excited. I know how excited she is about it, so I have to bring her back at some point.
Oh, thank you. I've had a wonderful time.
I'm glad you did. We need Sunbeam, says Mage.
Well, you have me.
Yes,
Are
you have.
happy?
You have her now. Well, you've had her for the past hour and a half. But
That's true.
yes. Okay, final questions for anybody. I want to just talk about. I just want to talk forever because it's so fun. But we gotta.
It is.
All good things have to come to an end. But
That's true. We continue this in part 2.
Gotta get our vitamin D. Press S as Sunbeam got you in the fandom.
Oh.
That was Rhino for me. That was Rhino.
Oh.
Rhino's seriously the nicest guy. I actually I went to a convention thing, or not a convention thing. I went to a meetup and I met Rhino once there.
Whoa.
I met him and that was I gotta go, sorry, bye. Thank you for coming, Cold Front, really appreciate it. But I met him there and that guy
Oh
guy is so freaking nice.
Yeah. It was weird because
Yes,
I had this friend back on Wattpad like years ago, and they were like, "Hey, you're cool. Here's a thing," and that was the first time Rhino drew Sunbeam for me. This friend got him to draw Sunbeam for me, and she's forever. I don't know if anyone remember her, Frosty, on Wattpad, but that was the first time that Rhino, I guess, found out about Sunbeam, and then he surprised me again and drew her Christmas like a couple years ago.
Same with me.
It's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I've made it.
Spud Bowler. See, he has a twin like me, except they're identical twins. And you and Spuddy, you and your brother are fraternal.
You just what is up with? Do you just like stalk people?
No, we talk a lot. We talk a lot.
I'm joking.
But yeah, Rhino is super nice. His brother didn't talk too much, but he seems like a pretty nice guy too. They're both great people. I saw him give the mug to her to Tui.
Oh my gosh.
I saw her.
Oh my
She was like,
gosh.
"Oh my god, this is so cool!" And yeah, it was really neat seeing. It was really neat just seeing the two there. It was cool. He is tall. He's like over 6 feet.
Oof.
Look, when I was there, I was 5'10". Okay, I'm 5'11" or almost 6 feet now. But he's like 6'1", 6'2". The guy is tall.
Wow.
Yeah, he's awesome though.
Speaking of Tui, I don't think I've ever told anyone this
Ooh.
because I felt like I shouldn't.
Oh.
So I'm not gonna give details. But essentially, there was one time that I had this social media,
Oh.
and there was this person commenting on a bunch of posts in one of the Wings of Fire topic like group forums, and they put smiley faces in it, and they made little excited things, and I was like, I've read Tui's blog. This sounds like Tui. It was like Dragon Master or whatever. And so I private messaged this account, and I was like, hey, I promise I won't tell anyone, but are you Tui Sutherland? And they were like, oh my gosh, yes, I was just trying to find
What? I was just trying to find some what?
like just trying to like see what the fandom was like. She was trying to go undercover in her own fandom, and I think that is the cutest thing.
Oh my
And just
god.
the fact that she replied to me and she was like, oh my gosh, you're a fan, that's so cool, like what do you like to do? And so I like sent her some of my old art, and she was like, oh, these are so cool, and I was like, ah.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Phantom Junkie says, is the social media called Google Plus?
Okay, yeah, it was. And you won't be able to find her anymore. She deleted her account because she was like, this isn't gonna work. But I appreciate her trying, and I think that is just amazing and beautiful. And I just applaud her for doing that, because she was super kind about it, even though I found her out. And it was really sweet. And the fact that she wasn't like, oh my gosh, yes, please don't tell anyone. She was just like, oh yeah, you know, it's me, and she just took an interest in like trying to connect with me, and I thought that was just a really sweet way. Obviously, we didn't talk for long, you know, they didn't turn into like a full-on deep conversation, but it was really cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a little story I have about Tui.
Shadowfang,
Anyone was
I
interested.
promise I won't tell anyone. I mean,
Hey,
it's
this
been...
was like 4 years ago.
Oh, so
or
this was
so-
after like the third or fourth book.
3 or 4 years ago. So I don't think it matters that much anymore.
Yeah. Then Mage says, what is your favorite Wings of Fire novel? My personal favorite is probably the 2nd or the 6th book. Because the 6th book is completely new with the characters, for instance, and there's a ton of new characters, and I like the setting. And then the 2nd book is cool because I love Sea Wings. I love their society. I love Tsunami as a character. They're great. I can't decide. Sunbeam, what's your favorite book?
Oh man. I really
Too exposed.
This is so hard. I really Escaping Peril. That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like Moon Rising. And from the first arc, I really like The Lost Heir.
On the next episode of Undercover Boss, 2ET Sutherland.
Let's hope she never listens to this podcast. She's like, I trusted you.
Oh man.
I mean, let's hope she listens to this podcast because that'd be awesome.
That'd
Don't get me wrong.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't pick a favorite book. I really like Darkstalker because it's like standalone. I think Escaping Peril I just liked everything. There's never a dull moment for me personally. I was like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Ooh, this is happening now. And definitely from the first arc, I definitely like Lost Air. I really like the Lost Air, partly because Tsunami's my favorite character from the Dragonets of Destiny arc, from the first arc, if you couldn't figure that out.
Yeah. It's great though. The whole series. I love the whole series, honestly.
Yeah. Same.
But yeah. Shadow Fang says, I hope she listens to this. And Shalpon says, same. The Hidden Kingdom and the Lost Air are my favorites.
I did like the Hidden Kingdom.
Who would have thought that Shalpon's favorite book was the one about Rain Wings?
Not me.
But yeah, I think that is gonna be it. Are there any more questions? I think
chance.
yes, this is your last chance for real. I think the part of Winter Turning where Pyrite turned out to be Winter's Enslaved Brother was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hailstorm.
I did not expect that.
I think I love book 12 because the character Cricket. I love her. I love Cricket.
Yes.
She reminds me of Tui. I've listened to her talk personally, like one-on-one. I've talked to her, and she and Cricket are the same. And they both wear glasses, so there's that too.
Yes.
What's your last name, Dur? It's Spud Bowler.
It's Holmes.
Tsunami, I don't know, Tsunami J. Holmes.
You don't forget, my middle name is Danger.
I have one question. Why did you betray Tui's trust? You betrayed her. Hurry, what did you have for breakfast? Oh, I just had a sandwich. Good old sandwich. Call them sandwiches. No, but I just had a good old ham sandwich. I would have had like something cereal or something like that, or like maybe eggs, but I just had a sandwich.
I'm sorry, Tui. I'm sorry.
Sandwich. Yes. Wow, lots of people here, but I hate to say it, but all good things must come to an end, so I think we're gonna end it here. Are there seriously any more questions? Like actual serious questions?
Nope, they had their chance.
We'll take one more. We'll take one question. First come, first serve. One more question. Did Mastermind have glasses? I think. But any questions, seriously? First come, first serve.
You have 10 seconds. I'm just kidding.
No, it's fine. Take your time. One more question. We'll pick the one that we like best, actually.
Yeah.
Would you play Fallout 76? Yeah. I mean, I probably will.
But, I mean, I guess they don't have any more questions.
The guy Whiteout had glasses. Mastermind did not. Thoughtful.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Mastermind did. Okay, well, it looks like that's gonna be it since there are no more questions. But, yeah. So Sunbeam, thank you so much for coming to the stream. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So if you guys want to go follow her Redbubble, her DeviantArt, and her YouTube channel are all in the description. So go and subscribe to her, go follow her, go buy her merchandise. Do what you all gotta do. And if you guys want, you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing these every Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time for all you Europeans. This podcast has been completely amazing. It gave me a reason to get back into mainstream Wings of Fire outside of fan tribe. So thank you so much for that. Also, I'm so hyped for the next episodes. We love you, human vitamin D. So I'm being here even though I was half an hour late. Well, I mean, it's fine. Like,
we're still here, and you can listen to the beginning, which is cool.
Yes, there will be a public archive. It will not go down. It's gonna stay up for a very, very long time if I ever take it down. So if you want to go watch it again, if you want to watch the parts you missed, by all means, go ahead. So that's going to be the end of the podcast. So again, thank you for coming, Sunbeam. I really appreciate having you here. Stick around after the stream because we can talk a little bit after. But yeah, so the next week I have yet to decide who will be on, but we will figure it out. I have some ideas in mind for the people that already came along. So
Cool. I will be listening.
perfect. I hope to see you there, and then you can be a part of the audience next time. So yeah, I think that's it. So
All right.
we will be back online next Saturday at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. So thank you guys so much for coming to the podcast, the very first one. Did you guys have a good time? You guys have a good time with this?
I know I did.
Bye. Cougar, do the Sea Wing opera and tag me.
Someone do it.
Oh, Moonfire, how you landed, you lived. Yes, guys, go and draw it. Go and draw the Sea Wing Opera house, and please do that. So, thank you guys for coming, and I'm glad that you all had a great time. I will see you guys on Saturday,
I
and
will see you guys sometime in the future.
yeah, you'll see her in the chat. So, I mean, she's not going forever. Is that a trick question? No, it's not a trick question, I promise. So, thank you guys for coming, and I will see you all next week. Thank you guys so much for the great, amazing podcast. Goodbye.